Hey everyone, it's Joric. Welcome back. Hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Today's video is going to be an interesting one. I'd like to get your take and get some comments. Have you ever been on a flight anywhere in the world where there was an unruly passenger, or there were passengers that were getting into it, or maybe there were passengers and some of the crew, like flight attendants, that were going back and forth and it became contentious? And the reason I asked that question is because I'm going to show you here, Ryanair is taking the unprecedented action. I think they're saying that this is the first time an airline is suing a passenger. And it says over unruly behavior. It was a flight that ended up getting diverted and having to land in Portugal. And although the article, as you see it here, does not go into what the unruly behavior is, I was trying to look online and see if I could go down Facebook or Reddit posts to find out what was done. But I wanted to ask, have you been on a flight where you just saw someone being ridiculous, a passenger, or maybe it was a crew member, and you were always wondering kind of what was going to happen, or would there ever be any legal action taken? I wanted to first start by saying I've talked to several flight attendants on our flights, whether they be international or Europe, when we were living in Europe, or here in the US, and I just asked them, for those that have been doing, they were flight attendants for 20 or more years, have things become more contentious? Have passengers become more needy? And generally speaking, they said 95% of people have been fantastic their whole career, but there are more people that every year there's just a handful more passengers that are a little more upset about. It could be everything from the flight was delayed, has nothing to do with the flight attendant. The flight's delayed, there's a cancellation, there's snow, there's a weather. Could be, maybe they wanted peanuts and they gave away pretzels on the flight, or maybe their particular food item was out, or cocktail. Could have been the passenger next to them was bugging them, or they were bugging the passenger, and they just, for whatever reason, push came to shove, literally. You've probably seen some viral videos on YouTube where someone reclines their seat back, and then the person behind them starts pushing on the seat, and then that turns into an altercation. You've also probably seen people being carried off of airplane by law enforcement for being drunk or getting into fights. And it's interesting because I've been on flights where there have been disturbances, but nothing like where the air marshal, or when they get off the plane, there's been an arrest. I have gotten off a handful of flights in my career where there were law enforcement waiting in the jet bridge when we got off the plane, but didn't know what that was all about. And I've been on flights where there have been conversations that have been tense between, let's say, a flight attendant and a passenger, or sometimes between two passengers. And you never know. It seems like things have been resolved for the most part. Like I said, I have not been on a flight where I see these people getting into fights or making a ruckus. But I'm curious if you have. Because this action by Ryanair, I think, is probably long overdue, and probably something that is going to start happening more frequently as more people become contentious with flight attendants. They may say, you know what, we're not putting up with this. We're going to take action. And I don't mean like harassment, when I say harassment, like sexual harassment or something like that. Could be that. But I'm thinking more of verbal jabs that are taken, and verbal abuse. Might be physical abuse. And then also, the airlines doing this, Ryanair setting this precedent. This is for European or overseas. I can only imagine, based upon what I've seen here in the US prior to living in Europe and now coming back, just some of the agitation and the amount of frustration that people have before they even get on the flight. It's like they're already amped up and there's this kind of almost like a road rage mentality sometimes. And instead of just chilling out and relaxing, grabbing some coffee or maybe putting a little something in the coffee to relax themselves, they take it out on a flight attendant or they take it out on another passenger, which, based upon whatever happens, can change the direction of the flight. The flight doesn't take off, the flight gets diverted, or there's just issues, and then everyone else on the plane has to live with the consequences of this one jackalope. And then the airlines have to, because of where the plane lands, they have to pay. In this case, they had to pay for accommodation for a bunch of people to stay overnight. So I can see where this is going to be a growing trend in coming years, when sometimes civility in the air is not something that people have a large supply of, that it's going to cause some problems, and it's going to cause people to, maybe this will cause some people to think or rethink before they act and do something or say something stupid to another passenger or to another member of an airline crew. We'll see. I'm curious to see the outcome of this. I'm also interested to see if there will be more action taken by airlines based upon whatever comes out of this action taken by Ryanair. But $15,000, no, that's not a small amount of money. And I can imagine that if it were in the United States, there'd be a lot more. There'd be some more zeros, another comma there that the airline might be trying to go after the passenger for. So tell me what you think in the comments. I'm perplexed. I don't have I can see where the airlines would want to do this. I'm just curious to see how that will play out, or if there will be a plethora of lawsuits coming, or if this will help cooler heads to prevail and we'll keep our wits about us when we're flying, and we won't go off the handle, or when we want to because the flight's delayed and we're trying to get to a destination or a connecting flight, we'll find a way to just kind of go with it, as opposed to getting upset and verbally or physically acting out, which is going to probably get us arrested and might also now get us sued. As always, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your travels.